we were talking about how is it possible that on Simchas Torah we have a joining of two opposites. The two opposites is the idea of we're rejoicing with Torah, which Torah is about understanding. And how do we express it? With the lowest level, just dancing with the feet. Our feet become like the feet for the Torah to be able to dance. So we start to say that really the entire Tishrei is really a joining of two opposites, whether it's Shmini Atzeres, Sukkot, Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, Aseres Yemei Teshuvah. All of this has this type of joining of two opposites that is then culminates with Simchas Torah's joining of two opposites. So now we're going to approach in the second paragraph in Ois Beis, line, let me get this stuck a little bit, line 19, how this is a joining of two opposites, and he's going to work his way backwards. He's going to start from Shemini Atzeres, Sukkot, Yom Kippur, etc. That's the approach that he's going to take. Line 19, page Vav. The idea behind this is, like it's known, the explanation, the pasuk, on the 8th day, it shall be an atzeres for you. Atzeres means withholding from work. It's going to be a yom tov for you. So first of all, what's the significance of 8? Sheyom hashmini hu madrega hashminis milmato lamaylo. The 8th day shows on the 8th level when going from below to above. In other words, if you count the spheres going from Malchus upwards, Das is often just absorbed in the other spheres because it's only a connector. So then, after you have the 7 midas going from Malchus, Yesod, Hoid, Netzach, etc. So, what is number 8? That's the level of Bin. That's the reason why Shmini Atzeres follows the 7 days of Sukkot. Bedugma Sfiras HaBina, it's similar to the Sfira of Bina, which Sfira of Bina is likened to Ha'em Reivetzes Alay Froichim, like the mother that is crouching over the chicks. The same thing, Bina is something over and on top of the earlier 7, or the lower 7 spheres, Shomer HaHekev, that it guards the cycle. Hekef means a whole cycle. The cycle of the world is a cycle of 7. There's 7 days, it's 7 Shemitahs, there's 7 years in a Shemitah, etc., etc. And then that is all worldly. That is all within limitation. And then there's Shomer HaHekev, that which surrounds and guards and is over the cycle. That is the level of, in our case, the level of Bina. So Bina, on the one hand, is above and beyond. That's going to be the one extreme that we find by Shmini Atzeres. It's 8. 8 means that it transcends, it's higher than the 7 midas, etc. And alongside with the fact that it is beyond, it's the number 8, Yedua Teres Harav Magid, it's known, the teaching with Mezritcher Magid, Sheshmini Uloshen Shumon Ve'o essence. That Shmini is from the word, the richness of something, the essence of something. Shezeu ha'etzem v'nekudas ha'tamtzit shel kol davar. It's the essence and the core point, the very makeup of everything. That's just the opposite of being above. That is internal in the most deepest way. Shezeu, top of the next page, Cninin shalamaylam ebina seichel. That's beyond the level of understanding and intellect. It's even higher than will. The essence of everything is even higher than will. Because of this great level of the essence, not because the number 8, which is Bina is still understanding, but because it's the level of Shuman, the essence, the core of everything, It says Atzeres Tia Lochem. Why does it say B'yom Hashmini Atzeres? Why does it say B'yom Hashmini Atzeres Tia Lochem? Lochem Daika specifically to you. Hado D'chsiv. This is what in the pasuk it says. Yiu l'chol levadecha ve'ein lezorim itcha. That they are for you alone, and no foreigners are with you. Not like the first 7 days of Sukkot. At the 7 days of Sukkot, like we learned in the previous Maimon, corresponds with the karbanos that are brought in decreasing order, 13, 12, etc. It corresponds to the 70 nations. On the day of Shmini Atzeres, we only bring one bullock, as opposed to the 13, 12, 11, etc. that goes through the other days of Yom Tov. Why? Because it's only you, Yisrael and Malchum Chadoy. It's only the Yidden and the king alone. The Rebbe always brings down the Medrash, that the Medrash says, in regards to this contrast of all the many bullocks that were brought, all the many oxen that were brought the 7 days Yom Tov, and the single one that's brought on day 8, is an example for a king that made a party for his whole country, and then the last day of the party, when everybody left, he said to his friend or to his only son, I don't remember which one it was, let's me and you just spend time together. The point being that Shmini Atzeres is that time of the essential connection of Yidden with Hashem that transcends understanding. So we see the idea of the most furthest to the most or to the most internalized level of intellect, etc., etc. That's the idea of Shmini Atzeres. So we see, just like B'Simchas Torah, we have a joining of extremes. The same thing we see a joining of extremes by Shmini Atzeres. Now he goes on the next paragraph to explain how that is in Sukkot, a joining of two extremes. Line 6. Well, derech ze benegel l'chag Sukkot is concerned a similar vein concerning the Yom Tov of Sukkot. Yadua, as it's known, she'inyan HaSukkah u'bechinas makifim debina. The idea of a sukkah is the level of makifim of the sphere of Bina. Every sphere has a level of pnimium and makifim, and sukkah, which is a makif, it surrounds us, it shines the time, it shines the makif of the level of Bina. And now that makif, as we also spoke in previous Mamorim, it's not just enough to keep it in a makif state, we need to bring that makif internalized. How does it be brought down? Internalized through taking hold of the 4 species. Lokachtem, lochem, it's to you, it's going internalized, it's touched at the heart, like we mentioned, it's all the way down, etc. And alongside with this, Matzino b'Chag HaSukkos, we find in Chag HaSukkos she'inyan HaSukkah u'hamshachas ha'makif ha'atzmi, the atzmi ein sof. That the idea of the sukkah is drawing down the essential state of makif v'Hashem's very essence is brought down in Chassidus. Shalachein Amar Azal, therefore the Chazal say, Ru'yim kol Yisrael leishu b'sukkah achas, that all Yidden are worthy to sit in one sukkah. How could it be? There are so many different levels of Yidden. How can one sukkah encompass them? How can there be something that can encompass all these different varieties of Yidden? Because when you're dealing with a very high light, this is such a high light that encompasses all equally. Like we know about the Ein Sof, it says Shave or Mashve, it's equal and makes all equal. The same thing when we deal with the Makiv of Sukkah. The Makiv of Sukkah is so high, it's from Hashem's essence, and therefore there are no distinctions and no separations between one Yid and another. And on the other hand, it's brought down the Pnimius with the Lokachtem Mechem B'Yem Rishon, that you have to bring it down, internalized, and so on. So again, we see the two extremes. The highest transcendent level, and you have it come down to Pnimius. Line 14, Valderach Zabenegel Yom Kippurim, so too concerning Yom Kippur. That's connected with the sphere of Bina. Yom Kippur has to do with the sphere of Bina. It's brought down in Kabbalah and Chassidus. I will soon see that this is because Yom Kippur is the idea of tshuva. In tshuva, the Alter Rebbe says in the Geras HaTshuva, there is tshuva ilah and tshuva tata, because tshuva is tashuv hey, returning the letter hey. There's the hey tata, That's Malchus, that's Shchinta B'Galusa, that's the lower level, that's the Tshuva Tatah, that's returning the lower hay of Yud Kei Vav Kei, whereas Tshuva Ilah, which we're soon going to identify, is the Avodah of Yom Kippur, that's Tashuv Hay Ilah, that's the level of Bina. Therefore, again, Yom Kippur, which is the time of Tshuva, specifically Tshuva Ilah, has to do with the level of Bina. V'inyan, the idea of Bina, or Yom Kippur, is Shleimus HaTshuva, is the perfection and the completion of Tshuva, like it says, that the spirit shall return to Hashem that gave it, which we know that pasuk is always used in Chassidus as the true idea of Tshuva. In other words, the ultimate level of Tshuva. Tshuva as the idea of return, not about fixing up something negative that I did. Shazel, in Tshuva Ilah, that's the higher level of Tshuva. Now the question is, what about the other level of Tshuva? What about Tshuva Tatah? Doesn't that have to do with Yom Kippur? So the Rebbe is going to say, we took care of Tshuva Tatah a long time before Yom Kippur. Shariat Tshuva, Al Inyan built it because Tshuva for unwanted things, surely that was already completed in the month of El. Magam, how much more so, the Tshuva of Elul and the month of El is the final 40 days that Moshe Rabbeinu was on Har Sinai. That it says that just like the first 40 days that Moshe Rabbeinu was on Har Sinai was Baratzon, that Hashem was in a favored state towards the Eden. Same thing, the final 40 days from Rosh Chodesh El to Yom Kippur is also Baratzon, meaning that the tshuva is then received in joy and a whole heart. So therefore, it's already, we're way past the tshuva tatah. How much more so that when we're dealing with the aseres tshuva, that for sure it's a level of tshuva ilah already. Shaleim amru, concerning the aseres tshuva, Chazal say she'afal pishat tshuva yafa loylam. Though tshuva is something that's always good, like the Rambam says, Basari Yom Shebein Rosh Hashanah Kippurim Yafi Yoser, in the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, they're even more beautiful. The idea of calling tshuva beauty, so the Rebbe says, we can say that this is referring to tshuva ilah, the fact that you're using this type of term, that it's yafa b'yoser, meaning it's a greater type of tshuva. There is the ordinary tshuva of a whole year, and then there's the greater tshuva of aseres tshuva. So if aseres tshuva we're already holding by the level of tshuva ilah, so for sure on Yom Kippur, the tshuva of Yom Kippur is tshuva ilah. Sheshayeches l'sfiras abina, top of page ches. It's connected and associated with the sfira of bina. Ubiyachad imzeh nikra achas b'shon, and alongside with the fact that it's that it has to do with the sfira of bina, it's still called the one of the year. That's the Torah calls it the one day of the year when the Kohen Gadol goes in, and we know that achas b'shana shu inyan b'chinas hayichida. It's the idea of the level of yichida. Shekshura im b'chinas yachid shalamayim b'chinas echad. That the level of yichida is yichida liyachtach, like we say in the Shainis. That the yichida is to be joined with the Eibishter, and that is higher even than the level of the unity of echad. Like it's known, the teaching of the Alter Rebbe about Aseres Tshuva, that it says kan be yochid. In other words, it says concerning there's a Maimer Chazal that makes a distinction between the acceptance of davening on Aseres Tshuva, that it's greater than the rest of the year. And he says that what we accomplish, kan b'yachid, what we accomplish in the person davening alone, Aseres Tshuva, is similar to what a person accomplishes with a minyan during the rest of the year. So the Alter Rebbe uses the words kan b'yachid to give a deeper meaning, that the Yechida, it becomes the level of Yechida turns into a level of the entire tzibur is one level of Yachid. Shekoyal b'chinas Yechida, line 5. Verse line 6, that's also that Yom Kippur is a day that we are obligated in 5 tefillas. We have Ma'ariv, Shachris, Musaf, Mincha, and Eilah. Shemisper Chamish, that the number 5, Moed al B'china Chamish, it indicates the 5th level in our Nefesh, B'chinas HaYechida, the level of Yechida. So therefore, what we have over here is, first we have Bina, which has to do with understanding. That's more internal. Now we have the level of Yechida, which is way beyond anything. And it's Yechida liyachtach, the Yechida is connected with the level of Yachid. So it's beyond everything. So we have like these joining of the two extremes, one with the other. So how do we, how does these two things fit together? But this is the theme, like we're saying, of Chodesh Tishrei. In a moment, we're going to explain about Rosh Hashanah, but if you want to ask questions, we are continuing to explain about the extremes that we have in the month of Tishrei, and we're going to go to Rosh Hashanah now. Valderach is Rosh Hashanah, similar to this concerning Rosh Hashanah. Shemitzvahs hayom b'shofar. The mitzvah of the day of Rosh Hashanah is shofar. That is the mitzvah of the day. Like Sukkot, it's mitzvah of the day, sitting in the Sukkah and taking the 4 minim. The mitzvah of Rosh Hashanah is shofar. V'yaduam shofar meloshen shaper ma'asechem hu b'bina. We know that shofar, which is from the word beautify or improve your actions, is the level of bina. Shaper ma'asechem is the idea of tshuva. It's also beauty has to do with delight, and we know we're going to explain about delight having to do with bina. Atik has to do with bina. V'zeu hatam, because shofar is the level of bina. This is the reason. And the second Beis Hamikdash, they did not blow in the shofar in the outside of the Beis Hamikdash. They did not blow in shofar in the times of the Beis Hamikdash. They did not blow in shofar on the Yom Tov Rosh Hashanah that came out on Shabbos. Because in the second Beis Hamikdash, it says that the Hey Ilah did not shine over there from the Beis Hamikdash to the entire world. Because it says that in the Beis Hamikdash was Chosru Hey Dvarim. Physically, it was lacking, the Chazal said, was lacking 5 things. The Aron, the Luchas, whatever the Gemara enumerates over there. This is reflective of the spiritual level that did not expand from the Beis Hamikdash, the Hey Ilah. So since the Hey Ilah did not expand from the Beis Hamikdash all over the world, in the second Beis Hamikdash, as opposed to the first, therefore there's no ready place for the revelation that comes down through the blowing of a shofar that does not rest and become revealed only in the level of bina. There's a lot of details left out of this over here. So why in the Beis Hamikdash do we blow? And this is only talking about Shabbos. On Shabbos we do not blow. What about in the middle of the week? So essentially the Mamarim speak about it starting from the Maimer and Baal Rebbe that speaks about Yom Tov Rosh and Chaz Shabbos, that there's different levels of shofar. There's a level of shofar being bina, and there's a lower level of shofar. The lower level of shofar, that can be replaced by Shabbos. The higher level of shofar, which is the level of bina, Shabbos cannot replace it. But in the second Beis Hamikdash, where anyway we couldn't tap into that higher level of shofar, the level of bina of shofar, therefore, on Shabbos, where it was only about the lower level, so therefore Shabbos replaced it. So in the second Beis Hamikdash, outside the Beis Hamikdash. In the Beis Hamikdash, you were still able to tap into it, even in the second Beis Hamikdash. I know it's very, very short over here. He doesn't go into the whole lengthy explanation, the way the Alter Rebbe speaks about over there in that Maimer. But that's essentially what he's talking about, that there is different levels in shofar, and the higher level of shofar, the ultimate level of shofar, cannot be revealed outside of the Beis HaMikdash, and therefore Shabbos we do not blow on shofar. We do not blow shofar because it's only the lower level which Shabbos replaces. Okay, so this is about, again, it's the level of Bina. Now we're going to talk about a level that's way beyond Bina. Line 16. Along with this, the idea of shofar that also has the inner voice that cannot be heard. This, even though the shofar gives forth a sound, but the tkiya, which is a plaintive sound without any type of ornamentation, decoration to it, is also indicating an inner voice that cannot be given voice to. And that's why we're using the shofar instead of our own voice. And that moira al hamshachas ha'etzem, this indicates the essence of the person that cannot be voiced. Top of page test. This is also what the Rambam wrote. That in shofar there's also a hint, in addition to it being a decree of the pasuk. What's the hint? Let those that are sleeping awaken from your sleep, and those that are in a stronger sleep wake up from your stronger sleep. This means this is a matter that reaches and awakens the essence, but in such a way that it negates the idea of sleep. In other words, when is it possible to be asleep? When a person is not affected to their very core. If a person is moved to their very core, their very essence, they're not going to be able to be asleep. Similar to the joke, they always say about the teacher tells the kid that said he forgot his homework, so the teacher screams, "And did you forget to put on your pants today?" Something that matters, something that's to the very essence, you don't forget about. The same thing, something that's like touching you to your core, you don't fall asleep. The shofar is something that awakens the core of the person. So we see, again, Bina, which is a lower level, and then you have the core, the essence. The shofar is a cry of the deepest core of the person. Another expression that we find on Rosh Hashanah of the essence. This is also what we say on Rosh Hashanah. Prior to blowing the shofar, you should choose for us our lot. The the pride of Yaakov that he loved forever. That is the idea of free choice. When we talk about choice, it means that there could be a possibility for something else. Though there's a possibility for something else to be. Like the expression the pasuk is, because the entire world is mine. Do not say that you are the only one that's mine. In other words, I've chosen you not because you have like some core thing. It's essentially the choice is you are the same like all the nations. We're talking here from the perspective of the body, not from the perspective of the neshama. But the main thing is over here that it's free choice. And free choice, we know Chassidus always explains, comes from the very essence. When you have a choice that's based on reason, then it's not free, because the reason forces you to choose. But when you have a choice based without any reason for it, it's coming, so that's Shima Makin, line 10, Shalamaylam called Sir together, it's beyond any type of form and any type of definition. That's where Hashem's free choice is from. And the choice of Hashem is in the very essence of the Yidden Kefich. The way they're even higher than Torah mitzvahs. Here is also the source, because of Hashem's choosing us and choosing our very essence, which is beyond Torah mitzvahs, how there could be tshuva. That tshuva seems to like trump Torah mitzvahs. We're saying the person messed up in Torah mitzvahs, and still in all, tshuva can take care of it. Because tshuva is higher than Torah mitzvahs, therefore tshuva can affect the repair of all the blemishes that's in Torah mitzvahs. This is also the idea that through shofar becomes the idea that you should make me a king over you. And his kingship with will they accepted upon themselves. That idea of the coronation, when you coronate the king, that comes through accepting the yoke of the king. And that accepting of the yoke of the king, that's something that reaches to the very core of a Yid. It comes from the essence of the soul. So we see again in Rosh Hashanah the two extremes, Bina, which is understanding and intellect, and something that's a Pnimi, versus the very essence. So now the Rebbe is summing up all of this, line 21, V'nimtza comes out, in all the Yom Tov in the month of Tishrei, Yashnam Shnei Afachim, there's the two extremes, though they're connected specifically with the level of Bina, they have in them also the level of the essence that's beyond any form and any Torah type of boundary. Therefore, the same question that we asked by Simchas Torah, we need to understand, how can these two things match up? They are total opposites one from another. If you're dealing with a level of Bina, or are you dealing with something that is totally beyond any type of definition and understanding, and the whole idea of Bina, setting things in its place, and so on and so forth. So, in Ois Gimel, the Rebbe is going to go on to explain that really Bina has in it two aspects and two components. There's the aspect, the Bina, as we understand, that it's a level of intellect and explanation and comprehension, etc., etc., and everything is categorized and everything is placed and very divided and very much everything in its own little box and neatly put away. And then there's an idea how Bina connects with something that is way beyond everything. Similar, I don't think he mentions it over here in this mimer, similar to the idea that we speak about Chamishim Share Bina. And when we talk about the 50th gate, the 50th gate is like something way above everything. It's completely L'mayla Meseder Ishtalshlus, and even in the 50th gate itself, there's two levels. So we see that Bina can be Bina as we understand it in a very logical, compound, complex, piece by piece, division, limitation. And then there's a level of Bina that's completely beyond everything. Tomorrow we'll speak about that more in detail, and that will justify how it's possible that we could have all these different times of the year. Shmini Atzeres, Sukkot, Yom Kippur, Aseret Mechuvah, Rosh Hashanah. That could be the combination of Bina and something that has to do with the very essence.